to establish dialogue and resolve problems peacefully to prevent further violence and escalations. And I will continue to discuss this matter with the concerned parties.
All right, so Ben Ali is gone and Prime Minister Mohamed Ghannouchi has now assumed power of Tunisia. But we've heard that protesters have been gathering outside the presidential palace a little earlier, calling on him to leave and for the parliamentary speaker to take over. So let's take a closer look at the new man in charge. Well, Ghannouchi is very much a part of the political establishment in Tunisia. Appointed to Ben Ali's first cabinet, he's been a senior part of the government ever since then. During that time, he served as finance minister and then minister for international development before being appointed prime minister back in 1999. Well, Ghannouchi has also taken on a high-profile role during this latest unrest. It was he who announced the sacking of the interior minister, and he was often the man speaking to the media in defence of the government. Well, we can now speak to Professor Nuruddin Jebnoon. He's a specialist in North Africa at Georgetown University. As you can see, he joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Extraordinary events over the last couple of hours. Is this a complete change in direction now for Tunisia, or do you think this interim government is going to reclaim control?
So I think we are unable to predict the future of the events in Tunisia now. Because the people who took over there belonging the old guard, the old establishment, and the main risk that they will be able to hijack this movement and just to stay there and to be like a kind of, you know, the president left or he stood down, like will be kind of government. Maybe hopefully will be temporary government, but the most important thing now is for the oppositions to be able to bring together a kind of national consensus about the future of the country and about like a government which is representative to all the social and political movement within the Tunisian society.
Is that possible, though? Is it possible for the opposition parties, many of whom, of course, have been put down over the last 23 years, is it possible for them to get together and be able to form some sort of unity government with the people who are now in control? Can you see that happening? I mean, to be fair, the previous president, former President Ben Ali, had promised to hold elections in the next 6 months or so, hadn't he?
Look, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. Regarding the situation on the ground, it's a kind of chaos, and they should take their responsibility now toward the Tunisian people and toward the international community. You know, Tunisia tried to bring like international investors in Tunisia for investment, for developing like the infrastructure of the country. Now it's about, you know, 20 years ago, they're in Paris, they're somewhere, they're criticizing, they're condemning the policy of Ben Ali. Now they should be responsible and be able to lead like the Tunisian people toward a peaceful solution.
Professor, we haven't talked a huge amount about the role of the army or the police or the security forces. How important is it going to be for the government to have their backing, and is there a chance that they might not give that backing?
Look, the army, I was professor at the Tunisian War College and at the National Defense Institute. We have like a small army, but it's very professional. And the army is doing a great job now, is protecting the major installations, public and private installations in the country, the infrastructure of the country. And the army, since the crisis started, didn't shoot on the people. I would like to remind you, like Ben Ali, Monday, he dismissed the chief of staff of the Tunisian army, Lieutenant General Rashid Ammar, because he refused to fire on the people. So the problem now the major problem still the security forces. You know, the number of the security forces is more than 150,000 agents, you know, which is the same number that Great Britain has to, you know, protect a population of 60 million. We have 150,000 for a population of less than 11 million. So the security forces shot on the people, and I think you saw all those videos on YouTube and those pictures, those snipers shooting on the head, on the chest, and on the neck, means those special unit from the Ministry of Interior must be now under the control of the army, and an investigation must be opened just to investigate about, you know, the abuse of power and the use, the disproportionate use of power against like a civil population. 2 days ago, it's not a rumor, this has happened. Women were raped in Qasreen, in the center west of Tunisia, by the security forces, just to intimidate people. This is what France did in Algeria and what France did in Tunisia to intimidate the National Liberation Movement. Right. So I think the solution is not like to change minister or to fire minister, especially the Minister of Interior. The most important thing is now to investigate and try, I will say seriously, to put under arrest the director of the national security. He is the first responsible guy who got like orders from Ben Ali to kill people, and the commandant of the National Guard. Those the two guys responsible about all those crimes committed recently during those 28 days in Tunisia.
All right, well, it sounds like allegations that we ourselves should be investigating. Certainly a story we're going to be following with huge interest, of course. But for the moment, Professor Nuruddin Jebnan joining us live there from Washington, D.C. Thanks so much. Well, I think it's worth right now taking a look at what people are saying on Twitter about the events that have been unfolding in Tunisia. Someone calling themselves Nigerian